Well, good morning, everyone. It's March 31st. It's a Tuesday, and it's the last day of the month. And as I always say, let's get into it right now. So, starting with the global news. We always start with the global news because we want to see what's happening in the world. Stronger than anticipated Chinese economic data briefly shored up stocks on Tuesday. No one's believing what they're saying. Between you and I, it sounds too good to be true. But worrying increased in the numbers of Spanish deaths linked to the COVID-19 disease saw market sentiment sink back. Spain is taking it under the chin right now. The mood in the market seems tightly linked to the evidence about the spread of the new coronavirus, and Europe is not done with this. That was evident with the news that Spain saw a record 849 deaths of people who had contracted COVID-19. There's very little personal space in Europe, and the worst is Spain. I love Spain, but there's very little personal space, so it's very easy to get infected because people are just closely together. Since the height of the selling in markets a couple of weeks back, the mood has appeared to improve as government and central banks use everything they can, and they really are using everything they can, to contain the economic damage of the pandemic. The S&P 500, for example, is coming off its best week in 11 years, though it remains 22.4% below its record set last month. Oil tumbled to an 18-year low. That's terrible. The number of known infections around the world has topped 780,000 according to Johns Hopkins. The United States has the highest number, more than 160,000. In all fairness, America does have the most amount of people. It would be good if they used it as a percentage, but it is what it is. The market yesterday was very, very choppy. It rallied towards the end of the day, but it's waiting. It's waiting and see. It's building a triangle pattern. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. This is a ascending triangle, and ascending triangles, oops, wrong line. I'm not an artist. I'm not an artist, folks. I could tell you. I am not an artist. All right, that's an ascending triangle. It looks like it's going to congest a little more, but if everything is telling us what it is about ascending triangles, we should see more upside. Also, ascending triangle tends to be a consolidation pattern, which helps us avoid coming back down, which I'm hoping will not happen. That's the clue right now. But the market's down almost 1%, and it looks like we're going to be going down all the way to the 2480 level. But if this pattern holds, and I don't know if it will, but it's holding for now, it looks like we may consolidate and see lower volatility over the next few days. As far as the major indices right now, and you could see this ascending triangle here. Let me just really show you what we're talking about here. I don't draw very well. I do not draw well. See that? Pretend that's a flat line. And then we have a little upwards angle. So if the charts are right and if the sentiment is correct, I don't like the fact that we're below the 200-day moving average, but this should consolidate another few days and hopefully break out to the upside. Break out to the upside if we have positive data. If that's the worst, if things start slowing down in terms of the coronavirus spread, we may see more upside and finally go above the 200-day moving average. Now, in terms of today is Tuesday, and Tuesday we talk about this top sector. So before we get into the top sector, we got to find the strongest index. If you look at the weekly chart, let me just eliminate these drawings. Let me clear this from here. These drawings don't do anyone any favors on a weekly time base. So as you could see here on a weekly time scale, and I'll even go a little weaker, a little weekly, we didn't break the 200-day line. That's very, 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 very positive on the NASDAQ 100. And if you look here, the technology sector is the strongest sector over the last 6 months, 3 months, and 1 month average. If we go closer, it's actually the third. But I'm going to tell you right now, healthcare, consumer staples, utilities, those are defensive sectors. The fact that technology is up here in the third place on a 1 month basis versus the bottom three spots is a miracle. especially in light of the fact that China has been really, China, technology, trade war. So the fact that we held above the 200-day moving average on a weekly basis is very, very positive. The question now is, are we going to come back down or are we going to go higher? The odds are we're going to congest and consolidate for a few days, and we may see a little more downside. But I like what I'm seeing on a weekly basis, and the fact that technology is leading is very, very, very positive. Now, as I said, technology is the third strongest stock when you're looking at it on a 1 month basis, but when you're looking at it on an average, and I like to look everything on the average, 6 months, 3 months, and 1 month, technology is the number one stock right now. And because technology is the number one sector, not stock, sector right now over the average, and because the NASDAQ 100 is still holding above the 200-day line. Let me show you how the SPY looks. Notice the red line, notice price data. Look at the SPY. We're like all the way below. Look at the Dow Jones. Look at this. This is terrible. That's the Dow Jones. We can't even get it above the 200-day line. But the NASDAQ 100 is above the 200-day line. It never even touched the 200-day line. And that's telling me tech is going to lead us out of this mess. I'm pretty certain about that. So if we look at the technology, we notice it's the strongest sector over the last average, and it's the third on a 1 month basis. We then look at the NASDAQ 100 inside out to see what the strongest stocks are. That way we'll be able to see what the strongest sectors are. So the buying is coming into right now, technology, Citrix, that's a competitor of Zoom, and Zoom is what we use to broadcast our webinars. A lot of people are working from home right now. So Citrix Systems, they have a program called Web2 Meetings, Web2 Webinar. We use Zoom, but that's a competitor. This stock is hot right now. Regeneron is really hot. They're in talks of making a potential cure, a vaccine for this coronavirus epidemic. JD is a Chinese stock. It's a Chinese Alibaba type of e-commerce stock. We got Gilead Science. Gilead is it's Gilead Science, but I call it Gilead because the ticker symbol is Gilead. I'm mispronouncing this word. It's Gilead Science. But anyhow, the stock is also working on a cure for this. So it's very interesting that we're looking at the NASDAQ 100, but some of the biggest stocks are the Vertex Pharmaceuticals, the Gilead Science, the Regeneron Pharmaceuticals, and these are the stocks that I'm looking at right now. So we've got two emerging fields here. We got the pharmaceuticals and we got the technology. My opinion right now is that the pharmaceuticals are going to come to rescue today. Also, if you look at the top sectors right here under time period, you will see that healthcare is right underneath technology. And we're seeing a lot of health stocks in the technology sector, in the NASDAQ 100. As you could see here, I'm all over the place today. And as you could see here, we got Regeneron, we got Gilead, we got Vertex, we got BIBB, we got all over the place, all over. There's like 4 or 5 in here. So I would be looking at biotech right now and healthcare. I wouldn't be looking at technology for the sake of technology. I would be looking at biotech and healthcare. If you're looking to invest in a top stock, and let me show you this ticker symbol here. Let me show you the healthcare. And if we go to healthcare, we could see that it's actually bouncing back pretty good right now. It's actually coming off pretty good. But here's what I wanted to show you. The ticker symbol for this is XLV. So if we go to XLV here, healthcare sector, notice it's above the 200-day line on a weekly basis. Let's see, on a daily basis, it's still below, but it looks like it's coming back and it's screaming. But on a weekly basis, it's actually outperforming the NASDAQ 100 slightly. But here is what I wanted to show you. If you look at the constituents, the constituents. I'm all left fingers today. you could see the holdings, and you could see all the stocks that are in here. You could see Guild, you could see Cigna, you could see CVS, you could see Lilly. All of these stocks we're looking at, VRTX, BIBB, all of these stocks that I just mentioned to you are in this sector. So right now, I would be watching the healthcare sector, because the healthcare sector is going to give us, in my opinion, the most upside. I also believe, let me try something here. That's the daily chart. And what I believe is, here's my theory. I believe that over the last 20 years, technology has been leading ahead of medical stocks. Why? Because technology, people see a lot more progress and value. But now with this coronavirus, I think that the trend is going to get back to health, because I think everybody at this point realizes that all of this technology and all of these things we use to make our world better are useless if we don't have our health. What if this coronavirus comes back? What if it mutates? We need a vaccine for this. Also, and this is my opinion, I think the military, I believe the military sees the upside in these viruses, and I believe they're going to start making a lot more. They're going to start investing a lot more money. I think the federal government is going to start putting a lot more money into biotech and medical stocks, because I think they're going to want to use this for military purposes. I'm speculating. I'm completely speculating, but have you guys seen the movie Outbreak, where they had two viruses? They had one, and then they had another one that was a different version of it. It was a cloned version of it. And I'm telling you right now, think about the power the military can have without firing a single shot or launching a single rocket. Imagine the power the military can have if they engineered these viruses. And I'm not suggesting that the corona was made by the military or anything like that. I'm not a big conspiracy theory buff, but I do believe that just like 9/11 had a massive global change in how airports view security, I think that this little episode, this corona episode, is going to have a major impact of how our society looks at biotech. And I think that we're going to start seeing a shift from companies like Apple and Amazon into biotech. Not saying that technology like Apple and Microsoft is not going to be doing as well. I'm just saying that I think people are going to become a little more conscientious and a little more sensitive to biotech and technology, biotech in technology, and biotech in medicine, because of what the damage can do to this world. But a coronavirus is a good example. So right now, I'm really focused on the healthcare sector, the XLV sector, and I believe that's going to be the sector that's going to be leading higher over the next few weeks. It's almost certain, because that's the sector that's going to rescue us, that's going to bail us out of this mess. It's going to be a cure to the coronavirus, one way or the other. But that's where we're going to see a lot of upside. Now, folks, I've got something big for you. One of the best ways to gain an edge in the market is to buy Wall Street stocks that Wall Street is not buying, but is about to pour millions into. If you find a stock that Wall Street already poured money into, I mean, all we have to look is our relative strength scan. The real magic is finding a stock that Wall Street is about to pour their money into. I've been talking about a lot of these stocks this week, actually. Now, this might sound like you need a crystal ball, but it's actually easy to identify these stocks. And I just put a training together on one of my favorite indicators that'll show you how to find stocks that Wall Street hasn't bought but is about to buy. You know, everybody's a genius on Wall Street after the fact. Everybody saw this coronavirus coming a mile away. I'm being facetious, but the truth of the matter is everybody's an Einstein after the fact. But what if I could figure out the stock that's going to make it big before Wall Street makes a move? Now that's pretty cool, right? So unlike just about every other indicator out there that tells you about the past, this one can show you what will happen next, while helping you increase your overall profit, reduce your risk, and make your timing and your trades a lot better. Imagine going from 50% winners to 75, 80% winners. Imagine double, triple digit gains. And again, not taking advantage of what already happened, figuring out what will happen next. If you can do that, that's money. That's money in the bank. Now, folks, I was telling you about the coronavirus. I wasn't telling you about the coronavirus. I had no idea about the coronavirus. But I was telling you that markets were overbought since December. I knew things ahead of time. One of the best indicators I used was the one that's in this training. It's going to show you how I did that. So, again, just about every indicator. First of all, most indicators were created in the 60s. For the futures and the Forex market. They're not nearly as useful on stocks. But this indicator, it foresees what's going to happen in the future. It helps you time the market based on things that haven't happened yet. Now imagine gaining into a stock that Wall Street hasn't been buying, but is about to buy. Just like I believe Wall Street's about to put their money in the healthcare sector, I believe Wall Street is going to buy them big. This indicator will tell you how to figure out what stock Wall Street is about to move into. You got to check it out. Click the link below, get all the details. Do it now. Do it now. Don't delay. Do it now before it's offline. Talk soon. Have a great day and stay safe.